When it comes to Teslas, I've always been a number one fan. I absolutely love owning my car. My car is an amazing car. But I feel like a lot of people consider everything I say about the cars as I'm being biased and well, basically I never say anything bad about Tesla. And that's not necessarily true. I've actually said quite a few things about Tesla. I like to call out companies when they screw up. So today we're gonna do that. We're gonna call out Tesla. Yeah, let's call them out. Let's say, hey Tesla, you're doing something wrong. And whether you agree with me or not, well, you're gonna make that clear in the comments. So let's just kind of get into that. First of all, for all of you guys who are new to the channel, thank you for visiting. And for all of you guys who are not new to the channel, welcome back to the channel. Today, let me talk a little bit about Tesla and let me kind of be I don't want to say bad guy, but I want to be the honest, I want to give you an honest perspective of what I think about Tesla. The very first thing I'm going to start off with is Tesla is not perfect. And it is in no way supposed to be perfect. There's not a single company on this planet that is perfect. Tesla over the years has done an amazing job, and they're still currently doing an amazing job at just doing what they do. The cars are wonderful. And I think overall the company is great, but Tesla is lacking one of the biggest, most important features, I guess, if you want to call it, when it comes to any business. And that is true customer service. Now, you've heard this. A lot of you have heard this before. People talking about customer service and how Tesla really, really needs to improve on this. I, on the other hand, have made videos in the past saying Tesla's customer service is actually pretty good. And I'm not going to sway from that. I think Tesla's customer service is actually pretty darn good if you take everything into consideration. And I think that's a very important note here. Take everything into consideration. The cars are great. The company is great. Elon is awesome. But when it comes to that pesky little thing called customer service, Tesla is just keeps going downhill. Now, a great example of this is the recent, and maybe some of you heard this, maybe some of you haven't, I don't know, but basically this is what happened. There was a class action lawsuit with regards to Tesla's MCU1. And MCU1 basically is the big screen you're seeing in Teslas. That's really what it is. And MCU1 was their first version. So anything usually after 2018 would consider you would have the next generation, MCU2. Now, I, on the other hand, have owned my car for about 2.5 years. I absolutely love my car. Let me tell you, I really, really, really love my car. However, when it came to the MCU, or that big screen, I had tons of problems with it. And when I say tons of problems, I mean a ton of tiny problems. Really, nothing really much to discuss. In fact, it's no different than, well, my phone lots of times. It is just what it is. There's little problems, you reset the system and it's all good to go. But you see, over the last 2.5 years, I've had quite a few issues with it. The screen not coming on properly, the screen freezing. Of course, there was the infamous yellowing around the borders. And so I've been complaining to Tesla for 2.5 years. Now, I was lucky enough that not that long ago, about I would say almost a year ago now, they actually went through the process of changing out my MCU screen. But the screen got changed out, but you see the same system. Maybe it's a little bit better on the way that the system acts, but nevertheless, it's still MCU1. So where's the problem? Why am I doing this video? Here's my problem. My MCU1, regardless of the fact that my screen got changed out, has done the same thing over and over again for 2.5 years, making me believe that there's a problem with MCU1, massive problem. You see, for 2.5 years, I've been making constant complaints. Pretty much every 2 to 3 months, I was at the service center telling them, guys, my screen is constantly shutting off in the middle of drives. And we're not talking like a simple reset scenario where the screen just resets. Sometimes it goes off for half an hour, sometimes for 8 minutes, but it's a constant thing. And now, when I say constant, it can happen 4 times a week, or it can happen once every 2 weeks. So when I say constant, I mean it happens It's just a question of, is it going to happen as a bunch today, this week, or is it going to happen one time in the next 2 weeks? But nevertheless, the problem still persists. Now, for 2.5 years, basically, this was the case. I bring the car in, they hook up the car, they clear the cache, and then they say, you're done. Congratulations, we fixed your car. Another week goes by, sometimes an hour, and guess what? The problem comes back. So now that you know this part, let me tell you what my next step was. So recently I got fed up, and I said, okay, again, my screen was off. In fact, my screen was completely off. I just happened to be close to the nearest service center to where I live. So I just drove straight in. I didn't do anything. I just, when the service center guys came out, I said, my screen is off. You guys see it's off. So in other words, they saw it for themselves. It's off. I left the car there. They gave me a courtesy car. I quickly basically went, drove around for 2 hours. I came back. I look at my paperwork and it says, we cleared the cache. And I lost it. Basically, I've been looking at this for 2.5 years, and now I see this again. They've done the same damn thing. They cleared the cache. I would also like to point out that at this point, I'm not the kind of person who loses it too often, but it takes a lot for me to lose my nerve sometimes. Sometimes I am a little moody too, but I lost it. Now, because I lost it, I had I kind of caused a little bit of a scene, which I am sorry for the service center because it's really not their fault, and I'll explain that in a minute. But they gave me another courtesy car. They left they wanted me to leave the car there. They ran a whole analysis, blah, blah, blah. And here's the funny part. During this whole time, there was a class action suit against this, saying that there is definitely a problem with the eMMC. I even have an email about this. So I figured, okay, at this point, they're gonna have to do something. Probably fix my system. Go from, my system can be upgraded to a 64 gigabyte memory thing. Right now, it only has the 8, and so forth and so on. But without talking too much mumbo jumbo technology stuff, let's go with how the service center, or Tesla in this case, actually dealt with this. So once I expressed everything, and this is where I've been to this location way more times than I can count. And so I went through the whole process. Listen, the screen is shutting off. It becomes completely non-responsive. And even worse, a lot of the times the buttons on the wheel will do nothing. So when my big screen, I have a Model S, so I have two screens, one behind the wheel, one in the center. When my big one freezes, sometimes it causes a glitch with the smaller screen, and I also can't just report the problem, because you see, Tesla wants you to do something. Whenever there's a problem, they want you to record it quickly, right? There's many ways to do it. The easiest way to do it typically is to push the car, on your main screen and keep it pressed for a couple of seconds. It records the time. But Tesla really wants you to have take a quick little photo, have a timestamp, a date and timestamp of everything that happens, because they have to narrow down when the problem occurred. So without going too crazy, remember, I brought the car in, the screen was off, all that stuff. I went through the whole process. They kept the car, and basically after keeping the car for a couple of days, I returned the car, my courtesy car. They gave me back my car. They are now telling me, well, it could be at your USB, the little thing I use for my Sentry Mode recording. Well, that could have been the problem. So can you leave your Sentry Mode USB card, take it out and leave it out for a week. Let's just monitor it. Oddly enough, they went through a few processes. Long story short, I had to monitor what the car was doing. I was sending a video of what the car was doing. I was doing as I was told the whole time. Yet everything seems to be the same problem. They keep telling me that everything on the system looks great. Anytime they check the system looks great. And my email actually states there that, well, there's no need for us to service your MCU unit, because there's zero effect on your driving of the vehicle, which is absolute BS. So the best way to put this, if you happen to have something called pin to drive. Now, for those of you guys who are not familiar, pin to drive is basically a pin code you got to enter before you can turn your car on. And the irony is you got to enter that pin code on your screen. So if you get in your car, your screen doesn't come on, you're not going anywhere. So yes, it absolutely affects your driving. But Tesla's response to this is very simple. Please do not use pin to drive until we figure out the problem. But then there's no problem. Every time they check something, everything is healthy, despite the fact that the problem persists. And even if I give them a time frame, a snapshot, Tesla simply doesn't care. They tell me there's nothing. Or they'll even go as far as saying, well, was anybody in the car during this time? Yes, absolutely there was. Are you sure there was somebody in the car? See, now you're just calling me a liar at this point. So my answer is once again, yes. My web browser, because Teslas have the web browsing feature, my web browser has not worked from the day I bought this car. I mean it, it just doesn't work. It hasn't worked for almost 3 years now. I made this complaint time and time and time again. You want to hear the crazy thing is they just don't even bother with it. Now this last time, because I lost my mind, they did look into it. And it's crazy because I get an email saying, hey, you might be onto something. Apparently this is a problem. No, of course there's a problem. It's been a problem since I bought my car. Okay, in all fairness, I don't use the web browser for anything special, but because I'm, I do hold shares, I do hold stocks. Actually, I kind of like the idea of having it there. That's one of the perks of having this digital car, right? I can just pull it up and see how my ticker's going. Okay, but I have no web browser. Till this day, I have no web browser. My web browser doesn't work. My screen continues to shut off whenever it decides to. And Tesla's response is, we cannot detect anything. Everything seems to be just fine. My issue is this, and I actually made a posting on my Instagram account about this. If Tesla cannot detect that there's issues with the car currently, the fact that my screen goes blank constantly, it stays blank for hours on end. I'm not joking. Sometimes it's an hours on end. And yet they're talking about releasing, FSD, which by the way is going to be another video I'm bringing up very, very shortly. But they're talking about releasing FSD. Apparently, what I'm getting from this is getting a web browser, don't laugh too hard here, getting a web browser to work in a Tesla is more difficult than getting the car to drive on its own. I mean, this is Tesla logic here. But the title of the video is customer service. Realistically, 2.5 years. 2.5 years of me putting countless freaking hours of just getting pissed off at my system not working. And Tesla turns around and says, nope, everything's fine. 2.5 years. This is not the way to treat any customer. And even worse, I'm going to put it this way, and I know this is going to sound really, really, really bad, but this is a problem that persists in Model S's, Model X's. I talked to a lot of Model S and X owners where this is happening, and this is supposed to be their flagship cars. So if we get treated this way, how does everyone else get treated? And in case you're wondering, what is my ultimate goal here? My ultimate goal is to have a web browser and have my MCU not shut off on me constantly. That's my ultimate goal. Now, I do know a lot of people are going to get in the comment section and say, upgrade to MCU 2. Now, here's the cool thing. I even told actually this to the people I was talking to at Tesla. I said, you know what? Obviously, your MCU 1s are crap. Or maybe they're crap for my car. I don't know. You're more than welcome to upgrade to MCU 2 if you so choose to. I am not paying for MCU 2, however, because I have absolutely zero guarantees that the MCU will work. And frankly, I don't have FSD, I have EAP. And because I have EAP, which is, again, we're going to get into that in a different video, but because I have EAP, I really have nothing to gain from MCU2 aside from basically some extra games, a little bit different visualization as far as the way my cameras look and that kind of silly stuff. Frankly, it's going to cost me like $3,800 Canadian to do the MCU2 upgrade. It is absolutely in no way worth that kind of money for me to have this working. So I told them, do you guys want to fix the damn thing and you think it's MCU1, fix it. You guys can do it, but I'm not paying for it. Ironically, I've been told multiple times that if you want this problem to go away, you know, the easy fix is obviously MCU2, but we're not going to cover that. Tesla will not do that, period, end of story. Okay. But then I go, well, obviously there's a problem. Yes, it seems to be, the responses I get, it seems to be there's numerous bugs in the system, which should be worked out on a next upgrade. By the way, I've heard this the first time I took my car in, about 2 months after I purchased the car. The very first thing I heard was, oh yeah, the problems you're experiencing we are aware of it. It's more than likely going to be fixed on the next software update. Since then, I had countless updates. It never fixed it, but the excuse is still the same. I still get that same excuse 2 years later. So here's my thing, Tesla, as wonderful as you are, as much as I love driving these cars, as much as I will still, to a degree, recommend your cars, at least over other cars, you absolutely suck at customer service. You are entering into a very dangerous field, because when a company becomes really bad at customer service, is going to start playing games with the customers, you'll eventually get to a point where you're going to build your own worst reputation. You need customer service. And when you know something is wrong, you have to fix it. This class action lawsuit, by the way, with regards to the EMMC, this is something Tesla came out and said, yes, we are aware of the problem, we will have it fixed. By the way, they will not upgrade my eMMC to a 64 gigabyte memory instead of the 8, due to the fact that they say my system is healthy. So if I try to schedule with Tesla, a service call where I say I want to, as per my email, I want it to be upgraded to the 64, maybe that is the problem. My response is, nope, we just did a check on your system, everything is perfectly fine. Irony behind this, at the time that I got that email, when I was reading the email, my screen was off. Granted, it only stayed off about 15 minutes rather than, crazy times, but the system was off. My MCU was dead. It was non-responsive. But as far as Tesla is concerned, everything is PG-fied. So that makes me worry. Are you not able to monitor the cars as well as you suggest that you can do it? Which basically is a bad thing. Or are you just outright not giving a damn? Now, with all that said, I have one more theory here, and I get the feeling is the Q4 profitability. It comes down to profits. Tesla needs to show their profits. They're about to go into the S&P 500. They need to show profit. They need to show that they're doing all that stuff. If you're going to take 100,000 cars, technically, and say, you know what, all these cars with MCU1 are absolutely faulty. The MCU1 system is absolutely faulty and we need to change it or upgrade it. It's going to cost Tesla a ton of money, which will definitely eat into profit, showing profit again. So that's my theory. Q4 profits are interfering with customer service, especially when it comes to MCU1. This is a long video. I am truly sorry for that. But when it's all said and done, I don't believe in letting companies get away with stupidity. With all that said, I would like to point out I still love my car. I am a huge fan of Tesla. I am a shareholder in Tesla. And because I'm a shareholder and because I actually want to hold this company accountable, it's why I made these videos. As I said thousands of times, I am a huge fan of Tesla. But Tesla, you need to get your act together. Customer service has been going downhill for years. We know that. I'm not the first person to say it. Ben Sullins is another guy who made a video on this, and he knows what he's talking about. You know, don't take my word for it. Go and talk to some of the other YouTubers, some of the other content creators who are much bigger, who have a lot more experience with this stuff. And frankly, they'll tell you the same exact thing. Tesla's customer service needs to improve. Ultimately, what do I want? I want my web browser to work, number one. And number two, I want to see my screen on. I don't want to be constantly in a position where I am in a specific area of town where I would love nothing more than activate my pin to drive, but I know I can't because frankly, if I come back to my car and my screen doesn't work, I can't drive away. So as for that email where it does not affect your drivability, Tesla, shove it up your non-existent tailpipe. That email makes no sense. Just saying. All right, with that said, thank you very much for watching, guys. Till next time, drive safe, stay safe.